Hello, good evening. If you watched Wednesday's video, you'll know how I feel about coming out stories. So that's why this isn't really a coming out story, it's more like the evolution of my queer identity and some ways I told people about it. It's complicated. So where did it start? I think my first ever coming out as anything was when I was about 14, give or take. Those school years are very hazy, but I was in school to a point where I wore uniform, so I must have been about year 9. And my first queer identity was bisexual. It's all a little bit complicated because I was bullied to the point where I didn't feel able to explore my queer identity properly. It's a very long story, but I was brought up around queerphobia a lot. I was called gay as an insult, so I didn't feel like I could pursue that questioning without getting bullied more. And it was quite bad. It's a long story, we're not going to dive deep into the trauma. So, 14, realised that actually no, weirdly, people are kind of right. I do actually like women as well as men. And I honestly cannot remember how I got to the point of this conversation, but the first people I told were the people who cornered me in a library and started asking me about it. And I just told them. And it spread around school like a wildfire, and then my friends were angry at me for not telling them first. So how about maybe we don't do that to queer people? So yeah, my first coming out story wasn't really mine. And then I told my mum next. Backhandedly, I didn't say, hey, I like girls. I said, damn, I got asked out by a girl today, and if it weren't for XYZ reasons, I would have been well in. And then nobody ever spoke of it again. Because school is school, and I didn't really need to do the coming out, and I was kind of outed. But once I had been outed, there was a little bit of kickback of the typical, so who's your girlfriend then? How do you know if you've not been with a girl? Etc. All of the queerphobic stuff. And someone else had also come out as bi, so I was accused of copying them, even though they had been calling me gay for God knows how long. But once that had all come out, and I realised that it wasn't actually as bad as people were making it out to be if I actually was queer, I actually started to explore my options. Which led me at 17 to coming out as a lesbian. This coming out was actually my own story. I was able to do the thinking on my own. I wasn't rushed or pressured into telling anybody, but I did want to tell everybody at once. So what I did was I dressed up in rainbows, wrote "I'm gay" on my face, and went into college. And shockingly, people didn't just take that at its word, they just assumed I was doing it for a bet. So I did actually, instead of having to tell everybody, hello, I'm a lesbian, I had to tell people that no, actually, it's true, it's not a joke, I am actually queer. So that was fun. And then I met a girl. And she was wonderful. She also happened to be trans. She was a trans woman, and we were together, we were publicly out, and people had questions about, does that still mean you're a lesbian? Yes, it does. Well, it did. I'm not a lesbian anymore, but that's not why. And through watching her journey and her explore her gender identity, I started to look at mine. And I realised that, yeah, actually, there is more than just being told I was a woman. Because, go back to school times and secondary school times, I was badly bullied and I wanted more than anything to fit in and be normal, and my idea of being normal was to like the girly things and to like boys. So I was very uncomfortable doing all of the girl liking boy things, and it turns out that's because I'm not a girl and I don't like boys. I then realised that I was genderqueer, and my coming out as genderqueer kind of happened inside of the discussions of my now ex-partner's transness. Because people were asking me about my sexuality, it felt like a good time to open that conversation, to be like, well, actually I'm not even a girl, so it's a bit more complicated because my now ex-partner is a woman, so I would be a lesbian, but actually I don't identify as a girl or a woman. I'm actually genderqueer, and then we segued onto that. And as more people knew, more people had questions, and I've said in another video, I can't remember which one it was, that I came out first to school peers because I could remove myself from that situation and there was other things to focus on, and there were teachers as mediators, so if it got bad, they could step in. And when it came time to come out to my parents, I waited until I had left for university. Again, because I could separate myself from it and step back from the conversation and I didn't have to be there. So I wrote my mum a letter, which you can hear me read out up here, and I just sent it to be like, hey, I'm going to change my name. This is why. Here's my pronouns. You got a trans kid? Cool. And I asked her not to tell my dad, and I don't believe that she did. Because he didn't say anything to me, and he's the type of person that definitely would. So I did that in my first year of uni, and then I went home for Christmas and I decided that enough was enough. In the new year, New Year's Eve, my birthday, I was going to come out to everybody. I was going to make a social media post. My dad was going to be able to see it because I did not have the guts to just tell him. And I wrote a long social media post, and that was it. I just kind of explained, hey, this is my gender, here are my new pronouns, my name is Max, it's going to be legally changed to Max, if you have any questions let me know. And my dad saw that, and he asked me some questions in the morning, as like obviously you would if you had questions. He didn't get it, he still doesn't, but he doesn't not support me. I was on the phone to him the other day, and bless him, he tried his hardest to not use any gendered language, and he did quite well. So that's like 7 years later, so that's, we'll call it progress. And that was my initial coming out to everybody as genderqueer. In regards to my sexuality now, just being queer, I think that never really had a coming out. It kind of started when I came out as bi all those many years ago, and lesbian, and then genderqueer, and not knowing the right terminology. I've always used queer as a nondescript label of being LGBT, being not straight. So I never actually had to sit anybody down and say, listen, I know I already came out as a lesbian, but actually I'm queer. That never happened. It just was a language thing. And I've talked about this evolution of language. It just became that. There was no pivotal, oh, I'm queer. It just, I don't know how to explain it otherwise. Fast forward, my last partner before Cameron I was with, and then we broke up, and then I did some soul searching, and I realised that actually I sit somewhere on the asexual spectrum. And I don't actually think I came out officially as asexual either. Like, there wasn't a, hey everybody, I'm asexual. It was just kind of added to things, and I posted on Asexual Awareness Day that, hello, I'm asexual, here's what it means to me, I think. There was an Instagram post. I am an out and proud asexual. There is the asexual flag, you can't really see all of it. It's kind of the purple here. Do I lead with it? Depending on the situation? I have a complicated relationship of when I come out with it, because it does lead more to questions about like, do you like sex? Do you have sex? And then comments of, I don't need to know if you have sex or not, which is not what asexuality is, as you'll find out later on in the month. It's just I don't always have the spoons for those conversations, and it doesn't feel relevant really outside of relationships that I'm in to have to disclose it. But it comes up and I talk about it, and I talk about what it is and what it isn't and misconceptions, but like, it just didn't have a coming out. It just evolved as a part of my identity, and I just started talking about it and people were just like, yeah, okay, cool. So no real coming out story there. In terms of we never stop coming out, how do I tell new people? I just tell new people when it comes up. I don't usually start a conversation with, oh hi, nice to meet you, I'm gay. It doesn't really happen like that. It more happens when people assume that I have a boyfriend, or when people assume that I'm a she, her, or when people talk to me about sex and I interject with, I'm asexual. When it comes up, I come out when it comes up. My coming out story is not just one story, it is a mishmash of just life experiences. And I come out as more than queer. I made a video a while ago about coming out as disabled because I live in the world of invisible illness, so I can pass as able-bodied, kind of. So often I do have to come out as disabled. So are we including that in my coming out story? I hope that this has given you some insight into queer life and coming out, especially when it's not as cut and dry as many people think it might be. Other people's coming out stories may differ drastically from mine, and please be mindful in these discussions that not everybody can share their coming out story. If you have liked this video, don't forget to like this video. I'm tired. Drop a comment down below of your thoughts and feelings if you have any questions, or if you're comfortable sharing your coming out story. My comment section is a safe place to do that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video. Videos go up every Saturday at 6 PM UK time, with at least one bonus video every single month. Apart from this month, where it's Pride Month, you're getting 2 videos each week, one on Wednesday and one on Saturday. See ya!